Well, hello and welcome to the BedBiz video podcast brought to you by the National Bed Federation. Well, I'm delighted to have with me today two amazing ladies. Vicki Dawson, who's the founder and CEO of the Sleep Charity, and our very own Lisa Artis, who until a few months ago was our communications and PR manager, but is now the deputy CEO of the Sleep Charity. Welcome, ladies. Now, as many of you will know, last year at the Bed Federation, we took the momentous decision for the Sleep Charity and the Sleep Council to merge. Now, this was a gulp moment, especially for me, as I was the one who set up the Sleep Council back in 1995 and has seen it grow and develop and soldier on through the past 25 years. Now, for so long, the Sleep Council was almost a voice in the wilderness, making sure that a focus on getting a better night's sleep got the attention it deserved. And over those 25 years, we ran countless campaigns aimed at all sorts of different age groups, things like petitions to get sleep put on the school curriculum, a really successful Team Sleep campaign back in 2005, 2006. We did surveys, we did research, we did funny stunts to get tabloid media attention, you name it, we did it over the years. And by the beginning of 2020, our Sleep Council website was getting more than 50,000 visits a month, and our Twitter account had over 25,000 followers. And every year we were generating hundreds of sleep-related articles in the press, and we were interviewed regularly on radio, occasionally on TV, and Lisa was supplying blogs to all sorts of people who wanted to hear about sleep. We were really very established, but we realised the time had come for a change. The whole sleep landscape has changed dramatically over the last few years, as social media has encouraged businesses to become much more engaged with their consumers and customers on a holistic sort of level. And there are now a plethora of sleep experts for businesses and the media to engage with. We had a choice: either continue as we were and see our influence gradually decline and fade, or take a completely different approach. And that's what we decided to do with the merger. So here we are 6 months on, and we thought it was a good time to give you all a clearer idea about what the Sleep Charity is all about and what that merger means for both organisations, and how it will enable us as representatives of an industry that sells a product which is critical aid to sleep quality to continue to be part of the sleep scene. So, hello, both ladies again, and Vicki, if I might start with you. Can you tell us a bit about the Sleep Charity, how it came about and what exactly it does?
Yeah, thanks, Jessica. So I set the Sleep Charity up in 2012 it was, and it was called the Children's Sleep Charity at that point. And the reason that I set it up is because I'd been a chronically sleep deprived mum. And I don't think I'd sort of valued sleep until I didn't get any. And then I became completely obsessed by sleep. And what I learned from that experience was that there is just such a lack of sleep support available. And if you don't get enough sleep, it impacts on every area of your life. So I found myself quite unable to function. I was hospitalized at one point. It led me down a very, very dark path. And I had just presumed there would be help there. And I was absolutely astounded to find that there wasn't, but also to find that society doesn't tend to take sleep seriously. And I became obsessed by sleep and reading about it, researching it. And actually, there were lots of other people out there who were struggling, just like I'd been struggling. And I wanted to do something to offer some support and some help. So I researched behavioural sleep intervention for children. I found it to be really effective with my own child, and it gave me my life back. So my initial aim with the Children's Sleep Charity was actually if I could prevent one family going down that dark path that my family had been down, then that is exactly what I wanted to do. And that's where it all started out. And over time, it developed significantly. And we were helping indirectly about 30,000 families a year. So we were training professionals, healthcare professionals, to support families using a behavioural approach. And one of the things that was really apparent to me was actually it affected the parents' sleep as well. And it opened my eyes to adult sleep issues, which is where we started to link in with the Sleep Council. And, you know, working together and in partnership is so important so that we can strengthen what our message and what we were trying to achieve. And it was a couple of years ago now that the sleep charity went for assessment for an award. So it was a GSK Impact Awards with the King's Fund, which are really prestigious in the voluntary sector. And I had a 4-hour interview, which was just horrific. Yeah. And it sort of looked at each part of the charity. And it was actually incredibly useful because it gave me time to reflect. And what that sort of highlighted for me was that the charity needed to develop, the charity needed to grow so that we could meet all these needs, so that we could send out wider positive sleep messages. So we've been through a planned growth period where we've strengthened our trustee board so that we can be more strategic, we can get the message out there. We changed our name, we changed our branding, and actually the merger with Sleep Council was just, it came at exactly the right point in our development. And the work that we do it's varied, but we provide one-to-one support for families and children. So we get commissioned by the NHS to deliver those services. We provide training and, we're providing training to, again, NHS, doctors, nurses. We have become the go-to place for evidence-based sleep training. So we've really developed our reputation. We're also involved in research projects, and campaigning is a big part of our work too. So, lots of different areas that we are planning to move into now that we've got Lisa on board and the Sleep Council.
I think, that's a key difference between our two organisations. We were really all about raising awareness, but didn't really offer very specific support to people other than in a very sort of generic sleep tips as part of a healthy lifestyle way. So whereas you were really getting into the nitty-gritty of giving people who was really suffering with problems around sleep the support they needed. So Lisa, you were obviously instrumental in proposing the merger between the two organisations and had been working with what was then this Children's Sleep Charity for a while. Can you explain why it was decided this was the best way forward for the two?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right, I was instrumental in sort of proposing the merger between the two organisations. And it came on the back of a research project we did with the Sleep Council, very similar to the one we did with the MBF in 2019, where the MBF had a big rebrand and a revamp of its sort of brand identity. And the findings showed from that research project with the Sleep Council that there was a real opportunity for there to be an organisation that could become a really independent authority on sleep, the really go-to body, but had really great credibility, like influence and reach. And internally, we looked at growing the Sleep Council, but given the resources that were needed, we obviously started exploring this relationship with the Sleep Charity. And we obviously, like it's just been mentioned, we've worked in partnership with the Sleep Charity for several years, including launching the really successful Sleep Manifesto last year in Westminster. But also the charity were instrumental in helping us with our Good Night Guide for Children as well, which was one of our really successful leaflets for very many years. And as Vicki said, they'd rebranded from the Children's Sleep Charity to the Sleep Charity because they were wanting to widen their remit as well. So it was felt that rather than having these two organisations who would obviously be trying to kind of compete and operate in the same arena, that actually wouldn't it be more beneficial if we could come together to be more influential and more powerful? And as what's just been discussed, you know, the Sleep Charity did have this really successful model in place around training and research projects and that funding knowledge as well. Whereas the Sleep Council, you know, has been so successful in sort of marketing sleep messages to the general public, you know, these great consumer awareness campaigns around adult sleep. But we also had a really strong expertise in corporate partnerships as well. So we've done lots of work over, you know, the last sort of 20 years working with corporate organisations on various different sleep projects. And this was something that the charity wanted to capitalise on as well. So obviously coming together just meant we could strengthen each other with our skills. And that's just how it started, really. Obviously, we joined forces last July, and now we've got this really strong mission to empower the nation to sleep better.
No, that's great. And I think you've probably answered my next question, which was about, you know, what difference will the merger make? But just to bring up one issue that I'm obviously asked about quite often, both by our members and others, is some people think that the merger means that this, you know, all the work that we've done, all the benefit we've got from the Sleep Council over the years is just going to disappear, particularly as, you know, understandably the front runner is going to be the Sleep Charity rather than the Sleep Council.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the moment, obviously, both names are still out there. It is obviously a gradual phasing out, and obviously we will be using the Sleep Charity name going forward. And especially because the two names are obviously very similar as well, so it can be quite confusing. I know people have mixed us up over the years as well. But while the Sleep Council name might not necessarily be out there, the purpose of what the Sleep Council will still remain. You know, we still want to promote the benefits of a good night's sleep to health and well-being. You know, we still want to ensure that beds are talked about as part of achieving a good night's sleep, because we know that what you sleep on is important. There's no getting away from that. You know, and we would never sort of not talk about beds as part, especially as part of like the bedroom environment. You know, it's pretty key to that. But we're not losing the Sleep Council name, obviously, completely. You know, we are using it now as our advisory board name. So our advisory board is called the Sleep Council. And as you know, Jess, you obviously sit on that with the panel of experts we have. So the name and that brand will actually still be there in a slightly different way. But, you know, what we want to just kind of get the message out there is that ethos of the Sleep Council will still remain in what the charity wants to achieve going forward. You know, I think, you know, Vicki will sort of say as well that marketing awareness that the Sleep Council has brought over the 25 years, you know, is imperative going forward. And, you know, we hopefully can continue to bang that drum about a good night's sleep.
I mean, I think that's the key, isn't it? The Sleep Charity obviously has that charitable status, and that's something we looked at for, you know, as an evolution of the Sleep Council. Should it be set up as a charity? But the fact that the Sleep Charity is already in there and in that space, and obviously has the ability to provide this practical support that people need, coupled with the you know the communication nous that the Sleep Council brings into it is a good combination. Do you sort of see you know the new merged organisation sort of running those kind of awareness campaigns and doing that those sort of surveys, things like the Great British Bedtime Report? Will those still feature, do you think, in the future? Those sorts of...
I think, you know, raising awareness is obviously one of our key strategic objectives going forward. And I think it's really important for us to continue to educate the public about sleep. That was something the Sleep Council obviously did a brilliant job in doing. And I think it's really important that there is that kind of independent organisation out there pushing a good night's sleep message without selling any products, if you know what I mean. You know, we obviously we're still running the Sleep Timber campaign and the National Sleeping Day campaign, which Sleep Councils, but we are primarily moving them to more social media awareness campaigns, which is what we had done with the Sleep Council in the latter couple of years to a certain extent. So they're going to be still key in our awareness calendar, in our PR calendar going forward. And the charity also has its Better Sleep Week in October as well. And obviously National Bed Month, you know, it's obviously the MBF campaign now, but obviously we will continue to support that. At the moment, unfortunately, we don't kind of have the budgets to be able to obviously run sort of some big surveys, because as we know, they're quite costly, and they are great. And if we do get any opportunities where we could do that with maybe teaming up with people, we will, because I do think stats are great, and we know that the media love those as well. But it's about using some of the other tools we've got as well. So social media, continues to be really popular for us. So we will continue to try and push those messages out using things like video and social media graphics, which seem to be a great way in getting in front of people.
I know you've just launched a new website for the charity, haven't you? And how are you kind of managing that sort of transition of this Sleep Council collateral, the website and social media with all those followers, and sort of handling the merger and yet not losing those numbers? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That was something that we were really keen to make sure that we didn't lose, because that's taken years and years of building up through, good quality content, competitions and giveaways, and just those partnerships over the years as well. So you're right. Yes, we've got a new website in place. So that launched in December, and we've really utilised assets from the Sleep Council. So what we wanted to make sure was that all that kind of hard work and effort that's gone into building the Sleep Council's website traffic up over the years was kind of not lost. So we've transferred a lot of that content over to the Sleep Charity website now. The Sleep Council website is still operational, and we've obviously got really clear links on directing people now to the charity, so trying to make that transitional move. But it was really important for us that we worked with the same developers behind the Sleep Council website, so they knew the background of the Sleep Council, they knew what we wanted to achieve, so are helping us with that transition. And the Sleep Council website won't disappear completely, but we're hoping those who do land on that website will now start to make that move across. And the Sleep Charity website is just, obviously it's not at the numbers the Sleep Council was just yet, but it's literally growing so fast now, which is amazing. So we'll just continue to carry on with that.
That sounds great. Yeah. So Vicki, moving forward, what's the plan of action for the charity over the next year or two, and how has the merger sort of changed what you're able to do? So
yeah, so first of all, the merger has been hugely positive, for the Sleep Charity. It's like Lisa says, we have different skills, different knowledge bases, and also different sort of networking bases as well. So to be able to pull all that together is a real strength. And Lisa mentioned about like the charity funding, and obviously at the moment charities are under an awful lot of pressure in terms of resources. So there isn't a great deal of charitable funding coming out that ticks the sleep box. And in actual fact, there never has been. Most of our income has been self-generated, which is hard work to do. But the corporate link is going to be even more important to us. And this is where, the partnership is really strengthened with the knowledge and the links that the Sleep Council has in terms of corporates. So it's kind of utilising our skills from different areas to be able to make us as absolutely strong as we can be moving forward. And I think you can see just by the materials, the information that we're getting out there now, that it has helped the Sleep Charity to have a wider reach, grown incredibly in terms of, like you said, visits to the website. But also the thing that I'm really pleased about is I wanted to be able to retain the Sleep Council name, because that is incredibly important to us as well, as I know it is to you. And one of the things that I think the two organisations really shared were the values. And it's important that that's captured, that is continued. And I'm really proud that we've managed to get the advisory board, the quality, the skills that we've got on that advisory board are just incredible. It's far exceeded our expectations, I think, Lisa, it's fair to say. We wanted 8 really top experts in sleep, and is it 19 we've got on there? Yeah. And we had to, turn down some real high caliber applicants, and to be able to operate with those 19 true experts in their field under the Sleep Council name, I think gives lots of value. So I'm really pleased about that element. And in terms of, moving forwards, we've got all sorts of things planned, and it's tricky at the moment because of the pandemic, because of the restrictions that we've got around funding, because sleep issues are huge, and referrals that are coming into the charity are constant, and we don't have the resources to meet them. So what we're trying to do now is to be able to get the funding, to get the resources in place. We want things like a helpline. That's really important. People are feeling isolated, lonely, confused, and they're not sleeping, and they need some support. So we've got plans to develop a helpline, to develop a national campaign to get the nation talking about sleep. In very much the same way as, there's been campaigns around mental health. And I suppose we are incredibly ambitious. So when we talk about empowering the nation, to sleep better, we're actually thinking about international stuff as well. And in the last few months, we have started to reach out internationally too. That's how quickly things are developing. But yeah, we want to get people talking about sleep, want that support in place, and we want to carry on campaigning because sleep needs to be on the government's agenda. People need to be supported when they've got sleep issues appropriately. And I think it's really important to say as well that sleep's not regulated as an industry. So anybody can say they're a sleep expert, and they may not have had any training, they may not have had background around it, and that's a real concern. So having this advisory board for us, puts us really at the top of the game, because we have got true experts from many different fields, because sleep is sort of all encompassing as well. So you've got to think about diet. Well, we've got a nutritionist who's on there. You've got to think about education and how sleep impacts children, young people's education. We've got an education expert. I guess nobody can be a true sleep expert because it covers so many fields.
That's very true. That's very true. And I know Lisa and I would often talk about and as I said in my intro, we've seen this sort of great mushrooming of sleep advice and experts, but completely unregulated. So how do you know you're consulting someone who knows what they're talking about? And so I think that sort of drive to become the ownership of that kind of accredited training resources is great, obviously. So on the corporate level, I suppose my next question for both of you is how can our industry, MBF members, bed manufacturers, bed retailers, the corporate, how can they kind of get involved and possibly help out, or how can they use your messages and become part of the campaign of awareness going forward?
Yeah, I mean, your members are key really in terms of sharing our messages and helping to raise the profile of the work that we're doing. So anything that they can do around sharing social media that we put out there is, really welcomed. And there's other areas that they could support as well. So things like, we're always keen on corporate partnerships. We can provide things like training to staff, so that staff understand about sleep, because it always really interests me that people work in a field where they're selling sleep products but they've not had any sleep training, and we can provide anything like that. And also we've been doing some work around developing sort of ambassador training ideas, so that we've got people in workplaces who are sleep champions, and we have like mental health champions in workplaces. We need sleep champions now, and where better to start it than actually within MBF and sort of the sleep industry, because this is exactly where we should be beginning with these sorts of schemes. And we're really open to discussions. We get really excited about partnerships, because when you've got the passion for sleep, it's talking and sharing ideas that helps you to develop amazing things. Have you got anything to add to that, Lisa?
No, I think you've just summed it all up very nicely there. But just that, as we've said, those campaigns will still continue to run. So, you know, we have banks of graphic, you know, we have a bank of graphics that people can tap into as well. So, you know, just don't be afraid to kind of get in touch with me, you know, to work together or to support us in any way going forward.
Yeah, no, that's great. I can see a number of opportunities there, both in terms, as you say, of helping out with campaigning awareness, but you know, I'm sure there'll be lots of people out there who might well be interested in sleep training for their staff, and maybe, who knows, somebody out there listening might be interested in supporting and sponsoring your helpline that you're talking about, which that would be marvellous, wouldn't it? So. I suppose I just ought to end on something really topical. We're in the middle of another lockdown as we're recording this, and I think everyone's aware of the fact, it crops up, you know, in the media from time to time, that this is, you know, the last 9-10 months has really exacerbated people's sort of issues around sleep, you know, because of anxiety, because of being stuck at home, you know, normal routines disrupted, etc. Kids at home and issues they're having, and all of these, as we know, can end up with significant sleep problems. So you must be sort of quite aware of and involved with that. What kind of, you know, tips or advice could you give people out there who are struggling at the moment with their sleep?
I mean, yeah, we are inundated at the moment with requests for support, help, and it highlights again how, you know, sleep is a postcode lottery. It depends where you live as to what you can access, and you know, this is again where it all links back to the campaigning and needing resources to be able to meet the needs. And I think some of it is around normalising it. You know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. People are anxious. Routines are all over the place. You just get back into routine and then it changes again. And, you know, there's stress involved. There's worry about family members, and worry about finances, all sorts of things. And of course, there's increased screen time too. So we're all spending much longer in front of screens, including children, to access schoolwork and exercising less. So I think sometimes it's about normalizing it. And yes, you know, these are all the reasons why. And then we can start to give some of the more general tips about, you know, trying to get out into daylight so that you can help to support your circadian rhythm, trying to prioritize having your exercise. But when you're trying to juggle homeschooling and a full-time job, I mean, we're both living this dream at the moment, aren't we, Lisa? You know, there's someone saying go out and get some exercise. It's just like a bit of another stress. So it's about trying to get sleep back on track. Keeping to routines is so important, and just being mindful, you know, of not letting sleep patterns drift, and if they do, try to pull them back. But what have you got? Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I would just say, like, yes, sort of the support is a postcode lottery, but you know, our new website now does actually house so much information, whether you know, it's a family with children who are not sleeping, or it's adults. So I would say to anyone, you know, if you do want to access some information around sleep, the website's jam-packed, you know, so you can sort of get some of those top tips or some, you know, relaxation ideas and things like that. And I think, like Vicki said, you know, we are in a pandemic. It's sometimes really hard to put that extra added stress on, but it is equally important to kind of safeguard your sleep a little bit and try to just put some things in practice without kind of making it a stressful experience, because we know that obviously stress just impacts on your sleep even further. But I do think, you know, people who are working from home, it's just about getting those boundaries right between kind of work life and home life. It's very easy to just continue working into the evening because you're at home, but, you know, switch off, you know, close the door, try not work from your bedroom. You know, that bed should just be for sleeping, you know, so don't be working from the comfort of your bed with a laptop. You know, really, like Vicki said, put those boundaries in place for both, you know, if you've got children at home, but also for yourself.
And there's website address is
thesleepcharity.org.uk.
Okay, that sounds like there's lots of useful information for people out there. So I'm sure we can talk about you providing us with some nice social media that points people towards the website that we can share for you. So Oh, it's been great talking to you both this morning. Thank you very much indeed for your time and for sort of telling us a little bit more about, the sleep charity. It's been great to hear that. It really reassures me that we've made the right decision for the Sleep Council. And while it's sort of sad on the one hand that our baby has grown up and left home, if you like, I still think it's the right thing that we've done, and that combining our awareness building and expertise over the years with your ability to give real expert support, it is the right thing to do. And I'm very proud that what we've been done is enabling that to happen faster and addressing the real point, which is dealing with sleep as a really important health issue. And of course, as you say, for our bed manufacturing and selling members out there, they are very conscious they are selling a sleep aid and very much part of the sleep industry. So anybody out there wanting, good sleep training for their staff or support as well at this time for their staff's own sleep needs, then the Sleep Charity is the place to go. So thank you very much, ladies, for your time, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you for having us, and thank you, for the continued support of the charity as well. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Jessica. And thank you for trusting us with the Sleep Council. We will do a good job and we'll help to raise that profile by working together. So thank you, Jessica.